Hello everybody, my name is Zeb, and so I'd like to purpose a few things. Starting here, I'm going to move from more towards just Warframe content, because it's something I want to do, and I have a lot of weapon builds, and I would like to be able to share the builds out there and kind of show those off. So I feel like a good way to start today would be with like the Grimoire. And the Grimoire is a unique weapon. It's not super good at face value. It's really fun, but it takes a lot of work to get going. And as you see here, I use 13 Forma. You don't need 13. I have no clue how many you do need, but really, these are the mods you need. You can swap out the Riven for like any other mod. So I mean, okay, so there's no other multi-shot mod, but what you would use is a like, what is it? Expel? Yeah. You'd use the Expel mods instead of the Riven. The Riven takes up that Expel slot because here's how I like to put it: you're going to have 7 mods on 90% of the weapons. You're going to have 7 mods that will always take up slots. So pretty much for pistols, it's always going to be Lethal Torrent, Galvanized Shot, Galvanized Diffusion, Prime Target Cracker, and then like the Critical Chance mods. What I mean by the Critical Chance mods is just mainly Creeping Bullseye and Prime Pistol Gambit. These will be like the main staples of your builds. Prime Heated Charge is a good mod because it's multiplicative heat damage. Well, okay, it's heat damage, but it's multiplicative to your damage value, as to where Hornet Strike is additive. Meaning, so the Prime Heat Charge adds more damage overall than Hornet Strike would ever add, even though 220% is higher than 165. It's adding 165% of your weapon's overall damage as heat damage. Or, well, not. Forgive me. It's higher damage. And that's, yeah, right here. So it's adding extra damage to that. But as you can see here, so let's go to a blank build. Let's put on Hornet Strike. Yes, my damage. So let's back out of this so we can just see blank numbers. So we add Hornet Strike. Yes, base damage goes up. But if we add Prime Heated Charge, where's the overall? Okay, well that gets converted to radiation. Where's it at? Okay, so yeah, there it is. It's adding 220 to the overall damage. Where's Prime Heat Charge? Where the hell did it go? There it is. This is adding 165 to that, make it 265. And not to mention, statuses are just going to do more damage in general. So, especially like when you go to like something like a build like this. I'm sorry if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. I am extremely tired, and I'm going to be making a couple of these videos like in one sitting. So, bear with me. So Galvanized Shot, obviously it's the condition overload for weapons. It was the condition overload for secondaries. Galvanized Diffusion, it's better than Barrel Diffusion. You lose 10% at base, but you do gain 120% at max stacks. So that equals out to 230%, which is 110% more than regular Barrel Diffusion. So it's pretty much, you get 2 Barrel Diffusions at max stack. When you're at max stacks, you have 2 Barrel Diffusions instead of 1. Lethal Torrent is fire rate multi-shot. That's just good on like every single secondary in the game. So without a doubt, you have to run this. Why am I running Pistol Pestilence instead of Pathogen rounds? Well, because I want the status chance to go up. You need the status chance to go higher so that way you're proccing more of the statuses at once. Why Pistol Gambit instead of Creeping Bullseye? Creeping Bullseye, you lose 20% critical. You lose 20% fire rate, and losing the fire rate hurts because this weapon doesn't have a crazy good fire rate as is. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm running Lethal Torrent, but I would still like to keep some fire rate because here, this is the fire rate with Lethal Torrent. That's really good. So, let's go over some of the basics with the book real quick. So, spawn in level 1. Let's spawn in 20, level 195, covered heavy gunners. They are not paused. So, these are Steel Path heavy gunners. So let's just look at how it functions. Alt fire shoots out an orb that runs around and damages enemies. Ricochets can ricochet off of a surface, and it procs electricity. That's the fire rate base. This is why I prioritize not having the Creeping Bullseye on, so I can have that full 60% from Lethal Torrent. So on this build, you notice I'm running Corrosive and Heat. It's extremely difficult to build viral in this thing because it already has electricity and heat, and I would like to keep the heat on it for like an extra damage, like DOT, because this thing cannot proc slash. So let's just look and see how it does with this Corrosive. You're also going to see I'm ramping up one of the conjunction mods. So you guys can see it does like a lot of damage like that. It's pretty good. So another thing that's working with it too is Cascadia Flare. Is on heat status effect plus 12% damage for 10 seconds, stacks up to 480%. That isn't, I'm pretty sure that is an additive damage bonus. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that is like a really, really good arcane to run this thing. So the longer I keep hitting something, the more and more damage I'm going to ramp up. As you can see right there. But it can get better. So a really popular method in the game right now is running Nourish for free viral procs, and I swapped over to that not too long ago. I was using Stynax's Thorough Strike on Revenant for an armor strip, but recently I swapped to Nourish because I can just build Corrosive on everything and just hit things very, very hard, and they will just cease to exist. So, proc Nourish. As you can see, the armor is pretty much gone. Now with stacks, there we go. See, that viral is giving us a high percentage damage increase, along with Cascadia Flare, and Galvanized Shot is increasing our damage per status type. And we have 3 statuses on there with just primary fire. Now, what about the alt fire? Well, alt fire is going to proc heat and electricity at the same time. So as you can see there, if I put on that, now we have 4 statuses. One thing I don't like about Nourish is I constantly have to make sure it's still active. Let's respawn them. Keep Cascadia Flare going. And then let's just shoot the orb. As you can see, the orb is pretty much already going to kill most of them. Yeah. Because those heat procs are absolutely insane. But if we combo the orb with that, everything dies here. So, like I was saying earlier, I do have a Riven on this thing. I want to go over that Riven real quick. So this Riven is plus multi-shot plus critical chance plus electricity minus projectile speed. Do not get a Riven for this thing. You don't have to, because this Riven is Riven Dispo 1. Its stats are going to be lower, and it's not going to provide as much of a buff, and you're going to overpay for a Riven that will provide a really niche amount of bonuses. For majority of the game, you really don't need a Riven. What I do recommend is, like I was saying earlier, the Expel mods. The Expel mods will provide a better damage bonus. Well, they'll provide a damage bonus that's really good and will cost you a lot less money. I am running the Riven because I really do like this gun. I like the book. It's fun. It's unique. It can do a lot of damage, and especially since I'm building corrosive heats, it likes to melt acolytes. So I was just like, go ahead, throw this on there. The minus projectile speed's really good for this thing, because now the orb will sit in one spot longer. It'll also travel slower, so it's not going to get farther away from enemies, and it'll keep continuously proccing the corrosive viral heat and electricity that the whole thing can do. Now, if you're not running Nourish, you're not going to get viral. But honestly, you should be running Nourish. If you can fit her onto your Warframe, go ahead and do it. Most frames can't fit Nourish like my boy Revenant can, because Revenant's abilities, he has like 2 good abilities and only one of them are viable. The other, only one of them is good for regular play, and the other one is a movement tech. His 1 and 4 aren't very good, because his thralls should be treated as Nyx's mind control, but that's a topic for another time. But you can take this a 1 step further with a companion. And a companion I have in mind is Jin. More specifically is Tenacious Bond. Headshot kills reduce companion recovery time by 3 seconds. If the companion's critical chance is over 50%, then you gain a 1.2 times final critical damage multiplier. So you have to have a 50% crit chance on your weapon. That's easy, because I have 105. I pulled this Riven, and I just kept rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. The Riven's not necessary. But now, so what critical damage, what the final critical damage multiplier means is that at the end, so when everything is stacked up, when all the damage numbers are finally put together, it's going to add that 1.2%, that 1.2 times critical damage multiplier to the last number, and then generate a new number. It's not going to be super noticeable, like at the start, but you'll see that like it kind of starts to ramp up a good bit. Maybe put in some viral. Now it's like super noticeable, because like if I hit these headshots, so that's pretty much it. That's the Grimoire. All in all, I'd probably rate it, without Nourish, probably a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. With Nourish, a 8, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so yeah, without Nourish, a 6. With Nourish, an 8.5. Only reason I'm bringing an 8.5 is because its Riven Dispo is not crazy good, and also the electricity, so it being base electricity really holds it back, because you can't put viral on it, and it also has no other IPS. Like, it doesn't have impact to proc hemorrhage to force a slash proc. It's just electricity, so you kind of have to build with it. If this thing would have come out being a modular weapon, I feel like it would have been better. But I still feel like it would have went in the direction of still building corrosive to get some more get the nourish bonus. But if we could mod it for toxin easily, if this thing can have base toxin, obviously yeah, I'll still want the electricity mods so it doesn't mix with any of the other status mods. But I can run convulsion. That would be amazing. Hell, if this Riven ever gets toxin on it, I'm swapping this out for convulsion for even more damage. The damage numbers would go up. But maybe not, because that status chance is really, really good. Also, failed to talk about the Canticles and the invocations. That is all up to preference. I prefer the Crab Canticle because Universal Orbs are nice, and I tend to use this thing a lot on Necros, so I can just like abuse like the whole orb drops. Honestly, a really, really good one. Where's it at? Yeah, here he goes. Jahu Canticle. Killing enemies reduces the armor and shields of other enemies within affinity range by 5%. That's really good, because if you just kill a bunch of enemies, that stacks up. So if you kill like 5 enemies, all the other enemies within your affinity range lose 25% of their armor and shields, making them squishy when you walk up to them and start hitting them with the book. Yeah, that's my closing thoughts. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next time.